Hello and welcome to this yet another video in Peaceful Weekend Investing. My name is Shivendra Bhatia. Today we're going to cover two important stocks which is coming in my radar for India market. Both are listed in New Delhi Stock Exchange. And before we progress further on that one, I will cover some of the stocks which I covered in previous videos. If you haven't watched that, I will leave the link below. Do watch it. Might be giving you some insights into that stock as well. So this stock which we're going to discuss, I will do a 360-degree analysis, both technical, fundamental. There are certain green shoots on the technical chart which helps me understand fundamentally and focus my energy on that on weekend, so that at least I'm staying ahead of it. And my idea is to take the position early on and then ride the trend as and when I'm building the conviction fundamentally. And the stock itself is from the clean energy and also from the space sector, which is also, I think, in my view, has long tailwinds to forward, especially what the focus is in India market and globally for the clean energy. And I think it will be very much useful to track that stock as we go along, because there might be a good journey from here on. Again, we can't predict the future, and neither I want to do that. That'll be a futile exercise. It's more of learning from that, building the conviction, so that whenever the right opportunity is presented to us, we can participate in the journey of compounding our wealth. So let's get started. So first stock which we're going to discuss is on the clean energy, nuclear energy, and the second one we're going to discuss from the financial sector for India market. Let's get started there. So let me share my screen. Before I progress further, I'll quickly go through some of the stocks we have covered. And last week I covered some of the stocks from the battery segment, and all of them have done fantastic well. Again, I'm still yet to study much of the fundamentals around the battery side of it. Both Amaraja, Exide have done very well for last week. And then we covered South India Bank, which has been basically closed a bit sideways. And if you see, the long wick is probably not very comforting, but the volume bars are suggesting some big thing happening, and stock also is coming kind of this sideways, or can say Darvas box. If you follow that, it's kind of moving out from there. And stock has given a good rally from the kind of low cheat area to almost 70-80%. So it's gonna take a breather. And clear disclaimer, I do have a position in this stock, so just so that you're clear. And other stock which we covered is SEC, and I told that at that time that there was some kind of resistance, which is oblique resistance, which is on the this is a weekly chart. So when I'm recording this video, this is recorded on 4th of December 2020. So just keep that in mind. Sorry. This was a trend line, and this trend line was right from the 2017. So it has we have to see how the month goes, but looking at the volume, it looks to be a pretty certain that most probably it will close above that. But again, time will tell. Weekly it has given the close above this particular trend line, but I would need some more confirmation. And I do have position in HCC, so my views can be biased. Please don't read the disclaimer, and don't take any actions on buys and sell. I'm just sharing my learning here, what I am doing and how I'm positioning myself for my portfolio. And these are all kind of a portfolio which are for the I call it a peaceful weekend investing lab portfolio, where I research on these stocks. Not necessarily they are from the long-term portfolio, because they are from cyclical sector, especially the SCC and all that. So that is what it is. Godrej is again has bounced back this week, so that is great. Is also kind of long wicks are not really comforting to me, which tells me there are some rejections from the top. So again, we have to see whether it's going to go in sideways, but this is also coming after some decent rally. So let's see whether the base formation is happening, or it's going to go back again. And the other one was the transformer rectifier, which again has bounced back this week again after giving bit of a sideways. And you can notice that this low of big bar, which is kind of a Marubozu candle, has not broken, so which is fine. And if I just get it, so you this particular thing where we are saying long Marubozu candle, it is kind of holding on to that, and thereafter it just bounced back, which is good sign. And the volumes are also very decent enough. I would expect some more volumes, but when it is falling down, the volumes were a bit low as well, so which is fine, I think. And there are anyway good volumes, which is here and every rise. So that's one quick analysis on some stocks which we have discussed from last week. So let's move to our stock for today, which is MTAR. Let's first do, this is MTAR Technology Limited. Now, first of all, it is a recent IPO, so I don't have too much of data, right? This is a weekly chart. So it came in March, listed on the March 15th, March 2021. And if I do a quick technical analysis for this, now stock has, after being, IPO'd, it went down and went to low, and it didn't close below the IPO base. And I have a certain strategy for IPO stocks, but then it gave 39%, but came back again. And thereafter, it gave us some decent rally of 100% before it retraced back. And if you see, it has not closed to the lowest of that particular blow from where it started the journey. So, and now what caught my attention is the stock is in the sideways again, because there is not too much of history. So it is a bit of difficult to understand how this will pan out, but it is something which we can keep an eye on. But the stock has been for so many weeks in the sideways, and the volume bars are also decent from the last couple of weeks, and it is closing above this box, right? So which is kind of comforting. So it's closed, it's right now at 1737.8, which closed the week. Let's do some fundamental analysis around it, what's going on in this stock, and we'll also look at some of the other research reports which has come in. So for one day, like look at the performance for 5 days, is given almost 8.96%, which is outperforming. Oops, let me make it small. So that's the case here. Now 1 month is again almost same, 8.7. 6 months has been 20% up. Year to date has been down 30%, so it has not been performing. And last 1 year has been again down. 5 years also, it is 70% up. So we don't have much of history. So what is MTAR Technologies, right? So it is founded in 1970, and it's been recent IPO, so there must be IPO note which you can do it, read through it. So it was founded in 1970. It has almost close to 1,740 employees, and the stock symbol is MTAR Tech, or this is symbol BSE symbol, right? And they are into their national players in precision engineering and primarily engaged in manufacturing mission critical. Just let me pull that up. Sorry, it's too difficult to see. Let me just yeah, that's better. So they are into fabrication, testing, control process, and nuclear space. So what they're focusing on, nuclear space, defense, and clean energy. And as you know, the government of India also has a focus. Clean energy is the talk of town because of the overall countries have come up with signed the to reduce the temperature by 1%, and across that there's a focus that they have to maintain that, reduce the energy consumption from traditional one and move towards a greener fuel, which is hydrogen, nuclear or solar and all that. So that is what India has also signed up to that. So this is something which is important, and this particular company is also expanding that space. So moving on so this got give you a bit of picture, flavor to that, and let's look at some of the details from screener. Again, I will not go to the details. Let me. So we'll go through some of the details of this company from the P ratio point of view, because that also gives you some perspective. So right now, average P, again, this data is limited, so we can't make much about it. But again, historically, from whatever time it has been listed from April 21, it is below its median P. And last time it was there, it went all the way to 135 PE before it corrected back, and now it's kind of in the below the median one, which is 87.6 as a median PE. Now, EPS wise, I think there has been growth in EPS, so which looks to be that probably we'll try to analyze what is causing. So there are certain stocks which are in this engineering space, which you can review that. Let's look at the sales part of it. So sales has been from the current context, if you look at it here, from 54 it has gone to almost 394 in crores, right? And that is, EPS has also translated in the same way, that it has from negative 57 paisa, it has gone to 24.30, which is that's why you can see there has been certain growth where market is giving, and that's why the PE went all the way to 137, and that explains some of the things. And then obviously what's the more trigger point, and the compounded growth is also tells you this that there has been it's a growth stock, so you have to keep in mind before investing. Let's look at some other details here, and we'll cover that from the company presentation. More so, I look at the shareholding pattern. Sharing pattern also tells me that there has been a bit of reduction in the holding of the promoters, and that is tells me that, but at the same time it is comforting that FIs have taken a position, and there have been slight bit increase in terms of and probably you have to do studies like in terms of why there's I wouldn't be worried. It's just a matter of last 2 quarters there have been some sales from the promoter group, but that probably could be for their personal reasons, so that's not too much of worry at this point. But more importantly, FIs have started taking position in that, and Goldman Sachs has taken some positions, and you look at the DIs also have entered into the stocks, and that is something which also tells me there has been a coverage from DIs and FIs as well, which is a good sign. And as you know, public is reducing the exposure, which according to me, its stock is going to strong hands, which is something you have to take into consideration. Now let's look at some of the details about this company. So I have the presentation, and I'll quickly go through some of the aspects of the company and not go through the big presentation. This is a recent presentation of MTAR Technology. Now they have a good order book, which is a good sign. So they already got a recent order for 220 crores, and they have a good order book to execute. But keep in mind that they have a exposure to their exposure to particular clients constitute a larger portion of it, which is a risk. Once you read through this particular presentation, you'll get some idea about it, but I want to cover that. And I'll cover in this particular slide as well a bit later, but they cover into nuclear power, space and defense, clean energy. So that's their kind of 3 main areas, and you see the revenue of the clean energy, which excites me, is almost 201 crores, which is increasing. And their space and defense is something which their clients are ISRO, and they deal with it, and nuclear power is what they also had a bit of degrowth there. And financial performance, their gross profit has There will increase from previous year. So I will leave for you to go through that in your leisure. But they are decently doing very well from that financial performance. They're growing better. And these are some of the products they're into fabrication, precision sheets, and some of the roller screws they make and provide for the space program. And they are building some new capability, which is also interesting, given that China plus one, and there's a whole lot of focus on manufacturing. So they're establishing electronic system manufacturing capability, which is interesting aspect as well to see. So some of the key products they have, they build a semi-cryogenic engine, valves, import substitutes, which are bellows. So it's more of a make in India theme as well, which they support as well. And these are some of their clients. What I understand is part of clean energy, their focus or concentration is Bloom Energy a lot. So that is something to be considered. Hope they will. They probably have more clients in under their belt, so they can be de-risk that aspect. And they have been having some established relationship for long term from some of the clients. And the customers in pipeline, as you can see, some names which they are discussing. So hopefully we'll see some new orders coming through. And this is their revenue and operation, their profits. So their PAT has been close to 25, so which is a healthy margin they're running with, which is also good. Let's go through some of the other aspects I want to cover, because it's a big. So this is a performance in chart. So revenue is increasing 20%, EBITDA is also increasing, PAT is also increasing. So from 5.4 crores, now they are sitting with 60 crores. Gross profit margin is also kind of decently, and there's nothing to worry in terms of the average, which is around 63. EBITDA margins are good. PAT margins from 3.5 has gone up all the way to 18.9, so which is kind of explains their healthy margin. And their capitalized growth, which is also one of the key factors. ROCE has a dipped a bit in terms of it is in 14% now, right from 21. So we'll see probably they're spending more, investing, and so we'll see some the investments they're making into new division. Probably that will show some results later on. ROE has dropped a bit, and the net debt to equity is in not too much high, so which is fine. I think net working capital is a bit of a worry. They have given a commitment. I was going through their con call, so they have said that they will reduce it to 200. That's their target, which is right now pretty high, and I think that's where most of the capital getting blocked, right? So this is their healthy mix. So they improve their net working capital, and also ensure that there are they have their new sectors which they're focusing on segment wise. They get more business. I think this will be a good stock to watch and track. And so some of the companies under MTAR is listed here. I'll not go in detail, just so that you have some good context here. So it has been providing some of the critical components to ISRO, which is good. On their website I've seen some of the feedback. High precision indigenous component subsystem as part of the project of national importance, like PCLV, JSLV, and all that stuff. So they're given, which is because it is also kind of good to see, because when you have such kind of companies, it's hard to bring in new companies, because once you have working relationship with those clients, it's kind of sticky at the moment, I would say, because you go through various processes before you can get selected. And they have been providing products for Chandrayaan-2 and Mangalyaan, which is good. So so that's their capability. Manufacturing capabilities, advanced machinery, strategically located close to it, engineering capabilities. So that's fantastic. So they have got 7 manufacturing unit, and they give the breakdown of how many staffs they have. And this is some of the pictures of their manufacturing unit, and it tells you end-to-end manufacturing capability, right from machining, assembly, testing, specialized fabrication units, and surface and heat treatment. bit of a history if you want to read through. I will leave the link of this, so go through that. It is something gives you a lot of knowledge in terms of what's happening. I think so. Given all of this in terms of the nuclear sector, what their focus is, space and defense, which is also focus from the government, and the clean energy is where they're focusing on fuel cell, which is what I'm a bit of excited, and that is where I'll be watching this. Only supplier at the moment to Bloom is from India, so which is a kind of a fleet, because they are the only supplier to Bloom from here, and which is gives them some credibility in terms of what they're doing. So that's a strong partnership from last 9 years. But again, keep in mind they have a single client concentration there, which I think is a bit of a risk also. This is their leadership team. Subbu Venkatrama is a chairman director from Ola Electric, and Greaves Cotton, and then you got other leaderships there, which is mentioned. So it seems to be that is some of the details from the IPO. So they have differentiated product in terms of looking ahead. They are looking at power demand in India to grow 3 to 4% over next year. So they plan to double its nuclear capacity from 6.26, because that's the focus on the government, to have a clean energy and nuclear capacity. Also, they want to increase. And government of India has Section 14 fleet reactor combined generation of 700 megawatts. So under the Atmanirbhar Bharat, they're going to do this. And the ISRO plans for next 2 years 31 satellites, so they're going to be participating in that. So they'll get some orders from there. Defense FDI policy, they're part of the defense as well, and that is hydrogen, Europe. So all the areas are good areas to be in. So I think there's a good opportunity as we go from decarbonization to nuclear one, and so keep that in radar. I think space is another area which has long legs, because as everybody knows that space is area where every country wants to have their leadership, and I think having this company in that space, clean energy, they're in the right place. It's just a matter of execution, which we will track that as we go along. But before I do that, I want to also tell you some things. I was looking at SFC Focus Fund, which basically is a multi-cap 30 companies fund. They recently announced that they have exited MTAR completely. Again, these are funds, so you have to take that grain of salt, because they have their own position, their own strategy. They focus on 30 stocks, mainly large cap, and mid cap is only 14%. So you have to keep that in mind. Don't have to really, it's not negative, but also you have to understand why they've exited. Is there any specific reason? So you have to find that in. Now, I was looking at Northern Trust is one of the biggest bank. They have given an ESG report, vector score. So they have their own mechanism. ESG stands, it's basically ESG investing is basically now ethical, social and governance, where we see whether they're all the green parameters, and that's where we expect the companies will be rated, and ESG score is important from that perspective. And MTAR is 0.5. I don't know the calculation of 0.5, I have to be honest here, but something they're on their own model. Based on that, they look at it, whether how much company is working towards ESG parameters, both from the socially angle, governance angle, and also from the making sure that they're not contributing towards the environment, which probably is the focus. So they will have to buy or work towards it to ensure that they get a higher score, so that they get. And this is a big list of it, where you can see emphasis also there. Emphasis is 0.09, so having 0.5, MRF is 0.73, and again, I'm just relatively looking at it, so don't quote me on it. I'm just got this from the internet. So this is from the Northern Trust ESG Vector Score, which is available here. You can also check that. So again, this was from the JM Financial Research, the large structure opportunity of clean energy, which is the fuel cell energy is market expected to post 30 to 45% CAGR over next 5 years in volume terms. But declining price of fuel cell could lead to 14 to 15% growth in value terms. So as we are growing exponentially, the value of that will come down because of the commercialization, but then still it is a healthy growth, right? And that's the message. I want to rest or close this video now because it's already been a long video. I hope you got a value out of this. But before I go, I want to cover one more stock quickly. Technically not function, is a PNB housing. So again, this is more coming to radar because this is mainly again weekly stock. I think it is trying to make from after it has big fall, it is trying to have big volume bars and also trying to make a higher high. If you look at it, do a quick analysis here. This was the kind of a high, right? So it's coming and touching here. So if it close above this, and there was a bit of a rejection, so I would say if closing above this will give some comfort, which is basically making a higher high kind of formation from Dow theory, but it has a big fall, and from that fall it has already gone up 48%, and that is something just wanted to share that. So keep an eye on this stock because there have been some big volumes which suggesting some accumulation going on. Again, not done much of fundamental analysis behind it, but seems to be going to stage 2 of that. So that's 2 stocks to cover and the review. Hope you find it useful and something you got out of it. If you finding value, before I say goodbye to you, do subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you get notified from the next video. And you can reach to me on any other channels which are linked here. Just type in sbhatia.co/bio and connect with me from various other social media handles as well. Till next video, have a peaceful weekend investing. Goodbye.